Blessings, everybody. This is Dale. Thank you so much for joining with me today on the Word Podcast. We are in the 88th Psalm, and we're right at the end of it. And we're just going to read these last few verses. And remember what I told you at the very beginning, the psalmist is crying out to God. Okay, he's crying out to God. And this is Heman, the Ezrahite. And he's saying, I cry to you night and day. And he goes through all of the various things that he's crying out about, and he questions God about things. Well, he continues on with the question, and he's just said, I cry out to you, Lord. In the morning, my prayer comes before you. Then in verse 14, O Lord, why do you cast my soul away? In other words, why are you rejecting my soul? And then he asks another question, why do you hide your face from me? And remember that the idea of the face is your presence, your power. God, you're gone from me. I don't feel you. Why are you hiding from me? Why have you cast me away from you? Verse 15, afflicted and close to death from my youth up, I suffer your terrors. I am helpless. And so you see the intensity, and you see how long it's been going on. He says, hey, I've been suffering with this type of thing since my youth, this type of affliction. He says, I am afflicted and ready to die, according to King James. The ESV says close to death. The American Standard says, I was afflicted and about to die. That's interesting, because New American Standard says, I was. King James and Lexham say, I am afflicted. ESV says, afflicted and close to death from my youth up. So there's some little difference here in the tense of the verbs type of thing. But what's being communicated is what? That he's undergone this affliction. He's undergone this thing. He's close to the point of death, and he's suffering terrors. And he says, I am overcome. I'm helpless. I'm distraught. I'm distracted. That's all the translations. But what I find intriguing is that he flat out says, I bear your terrors. I suffer your terrors. Your terrors. And he's acknowledging that the terrors, for lack of a better term, I'm going to say, have come from God. Probably the best way to understand it is that he realizes that it's at least passed through the hands of God, because could God have stopped anything? Well, of course, But he's saying these terrors have come from you, and I bear these terrors, and I'm asking you to help me because I'm helpless. Well, verse 16, we get more insight to the depth of this thing. He says, your wrath has swept over me. Your dreadful assaults destroy me. So the wrath, King James says your fierce wrath. The Lexham's your burning anger, as does the New American Standard. Your burning anger. So we get a little more of what these terrors are. There's the burning anger of the Lord, apparently because of sin of the psalmist and sin of the people. And he's saying, Lord, how long with these sudden fears, these terrors, these dreadful assaults, how long are they going to destroy me? Lord, how long are they going to cut me off? How long before you come and rescue me? Verse 17, they surround me like a flood all day long. They close in on me altogether. So these terrors of the Lord, these dreadful assaults, he says daily they're surrounding me. They're like a flood, and they're encompassed all about me. Lord, how long? Then verse 18, you have caused my beloved and my friend to shun me. My companions have become darkness. So he's saying that his loved ones, his beloved ones, and his friends have turned away from him. Lexham says, my acquaintances are far from my darkness. They don't know what's happening with me. And let's see. Yeah, all the translations say acquaintances except the ESV. The King James and New American Standard say this, lover and friend hast thou put far from me. You've removed lover and friend far from me. Everyone was removed from him, the psalmist. His friend, his lover, he says, they have shunned me. They've been removed from me. And it's because of the hand of the Lord. Well, how do I know that? Because he says, you have removed it. You have done this. And this is how the psalm ends, folks. You know, it's probably so far, by far, the one that we've seen, the psalms we've seen to this point. This is the heaviest heart of one. Particularly with the Davidic Psalms, David would have said the same type of thing, but then he would have said something along the line, and yet, Lord, I will hope in you. Yet, Lord, I will trust in you. Yet, Lord, I know that you will come. Or why are you in despair, O my soul? Put your hope in God. Something like that. None of that here. None of that here. The psalmist ends it and says, you've caused this to happen to me. How long, Lord? How long? You know, do we not feel this way sometimes? This same exact way. The psalmist knows, he's already acknowledged here, that the Lord can do this, if for no other reason. If the Lord was not his source of hope and strength and his help, he would not have been crying out to him. He would not have been saying, why have you cast off my soul? Why have you afflicted me? Why? How long are you going to hide your face from me? So we see these elements of hope here. And yet it's not as forthright as we've seen in some other psalms. Not at all. Well, again, I'm Dale. Hey, thank you for your time. I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.